thank you very much for this opportunity that you have given me to at least give you some information about the Philippine Carabao Center. So I will be sharing to you my presentation. Okay, so the title of my presentation is the Carabao Industry Situationer and the Department of Agriculture Philippine Carabao Center's Carabao Development Program. So as of last year, the Philippine Statistics Authority gave us a data about the Carabao industry situationer. The Philippines is having 2.9 million heads of Carabao, and we are actually slaughtering about 500,000 of these in the past year. So we actually produce a volume of 140.7 metric tons, 1,000 metric tons of meat from the Carabao, and we have a per capita consumption of meat of 1.42 kilos per head. So top producing regions of this particular commodity is actually in Western Visayas, Davao region, and Zamboanga Peninsula in Mindanao. So, in the 2 years ago, in 2019, the Philippine Statistics Authority also gave us some data with regards to the population of Carabaos in our country. So, in the whole population of Carabaos in the country, we have 12.58% of this is native Carabaos, which is the one that we saw in the field, usually used for draft power. And then 32.56% of these are purebred, which is mainly from uh, Amura origin, meaning this is the riverine type of water buffalo. Because we have but actually two types of water buffalo. We have the native, which is the swamp type, and then the purebred, which usually came from India, which is the Mura base, and this is the riverine type water buffalo. Our purebred water buffalo in the Philippines in the past came around probably uh, 30 to 40 years back. Uh, we have initial base of Mura breed from India, and then we imported some from Brazil, and then from Bulgaria, and from Italy. So with these purebred water buffaloes, we use this for propagating and collection of frozen semen, which is usually used for the artificial insemination. That's why the 54.86% here are mainly produced through the artificial insemination. Why are we doing this? Because we want to increase the yield, milk yield of our water buffaloes in the field. The native water buffalo gave us only around 1 to 2 liters per day, while the purebred usually uh, give us around 10 liters. However, the purebred are not easily adapting the climates in the Philippines, so we must propagate the crossbreed so that it will give us a milk yield of around 5 to 7 liters per day. So in the female breeders, from the whole population of Carabaos, we have around 16,040 heads. And these female breeders has a being milked about 27% of them, and the non-milking line, meaning probably dry or still in the heifer stage, so it's around 74%. So the total dairy production as of 2019 is around 24.38 metric tons, and the water buffalo share to this total dairy production is around 36%, or about 8.7 metric tons. So the number of dairy buffaloes is around 18,886 head. And the dairy performance in last year, 2020, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority report, grew by 9.3% in first quarter and 6% in the second quarter. So I want to show you the food security framework of the Department of Agriculture, since the Philippine Carabao Center is under the Department of Agriculture as an attached agency. Uh, the vision of this food security framework is a food secure and resilient Philippines with empowered and prosperous farmers and fisher folks. And the objective of this is to have a production availability of food, of course, accessibility and affordability, and price stability, sustainability, and food safety. So when the Secretary William Dar assumed the office, uh, he introduced the 8 paradigms, or key strategies, which is mainly the farm consolidation, wherein he he wants to have a consolidated farms to have more production output. And then, of course, modernization and digitization, then industrialization, export promotion, infrastructure development. And the enablers of this is, of course, the budget and investments, legislation, and roadmap development. So the key result areas that this food security framework wants to have is under the five main categories, which is the systems, products, people, institutions, and environment. So in the systems, we need to do some effort for the agri-fishery value chain integration and logistics. While in the product, sustainable and higher levels of nutritious food supplies and competitive of agri-fishery products. So people, under people is the empowered farmers and fisher folks. So broaden access to support services and mainstreamed in agri-value chain and job generation and entrepreneur activities. Then for the institutions, strengthen partnership with LGUs, NGAs, SUCs, private sectors, and stakeholders. And then for the environment, of course, increase resilience, balance natural ecosystems. So this is the 8 paradigms, as I mentioned earlier, on the Carabao Development Program. We tried to anchor the activities of the Department of Agriculture through this effort. So the number one, number one is the modernization. We are doing the breed development and improvement, Carabao Herd Improvement Program services, livestock integration and diversification, mechanization, and digitization. While under while under number industrialization, we have the Carabao Value Chain Business Development, IREB, or the client base. Sorry for my presentation. I think it's with the timer. I will try to put it back when it changes. So the ancillary service-oriented business facilitation and access to credit investment, including client-driven and solution-oriented uh, oriented researches on productivity and business models. So number three is the promotion of exports and consolidation of small uh, and medium-sized farms. So number five is infrastructure, of course. I will be discussing to you later on with regards to infrastructure, and then the legislative support. So higher budget and investment for Philippine agriculture and the roadmap development. So the Philippine Carabao Center was created in 1992, and it's called the Republic Act number 7307, or the Philippine Carabao Act of 1992, which is an act creating the Philippine Carabao Center to propagate and promote the Philippine Carabao and other purposes. It was operationalized in 1993. This is actually the lone bill that the former senator and our former president uh, Estrada passed during his stint in the Senate, and this became law in 1992. So the mandate is to conserve, propagate, and promote the Philippine Carabao as a source of draft animal power, meat, milk, and hide. And the DA Philippine Carabao Center's ultimate aim is to establish buffalo-based enterprises by capacitating the farmers towards employment generation, additional income, and their general well-being. So, if you will notice to the mandate of the Philippine Carabao Center, it is not only dairy. So, we are also into milk, into hide, and into drop animal power. So, all of these commodities later on water buffalo uh, under water buffalo or carabao should be realized with this particular aim or objective. So this particular figure is actually encompass uh, the whole scenario of the Philippine Carabao Center, how it is being realized, the Carabao Development Program, the major activities of buffalo farming or the value chain. So it encompasses actually a research for development activities. And part of this is the genetic improvement program. So it's actually on under the production, which is the dairy carabaos, fattening, breeding, and feed production. So either for meat, for milk, for hide, or for drop power, it should go through the genetic improvement program. So we can harvest the good genetics for the four main commodities. And then the Carabao-based enterprise development. So of course, we want uh, to get all the aspect of the value chain. So processing and marketing. So we want to help the farmers to milk collection for the dairy, milk processing, product development, marketing, distribution, and franchising. Then the support services, which is the technical assistance, social preparation of farmer partners, organizational strengthening, and enterprise development. So we should not be confused that the Philippine Carabao Center is not a uh, production mainly for production of dairy, but we are into support to uplift the lives of our rural farming community by extending the technologies that the Philippine Carabao Center developed. So once we develop a particular breed that can yield a high milk production, we can extend this to our farmer clients. So as well with the meat for the drop power or for the hide. So this is the goals and key strategies of the Philippine Carabao Center for the doubling ani at doubling kita of the Department of Agriculture in 2020 to 2025. We increased the client service from 220,000 to 300,000 and increased production of genetically improved calf from 24,950 to 50,184. Increased volume of milk production from 4,468,486 to 8,987,721 kilos of milk, and increased value of production from 283,000 a million 752,068 to 570,726,737 and increase contribution total to production from 3.2 million liters to 6.4 million liters. And this is what we call the value creating innovations to improve the productivity, profitability, and sustainability. And the PCC strategy map, where this is actually the map that we are following to realize all our objectives. So the vision is the lead to be the lead research and development institution propelling sustainable growth of the livestock industry toward socioeconomic empowerment of farming communities. So it's to improve the competitiveness and profitability of the livestock industry stakeholders through animal biotechnology, technology development, innovation, knowledge management, enterprise development, strategic partnership, and policy reforms. So, uh, with the mandates and objectives of the Philippine Carabao Center as a law, this particular vision and mission is anchored on that particular law. Uh, you know, targeting the societal impact of human development and poverty reduction. So that's why, for now, probably you will notice that the PCC is an agency that is mainly highlighted with regards to the dairy production. But as I mentioned earlier, PCC is not dairy alone, but also meat, draft power, and hide. And we are a very strong support of the National Dairy Authority, which is also under the Department of Agriculture. And we are complementing to the particular vision or objective of the National Dairy Authority with regards to dairying. So the client, uh, we want to improve the income and nutrition of the farming communities and enhance the strategic partnership with the key value chain players. For the internal business processes, established effective and efficient systems and processes, and complied with applicable statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements. For the learning and growth, we want to hire, develop, and retain a sufficient pool of competent human resources and acquire and upgrade relevant technology, equipment, and facilities. And for the financial aspect, ensure sufficiency, judicious use, and sustainability of funds, augment funding through internal and external sources. So we are putting this PCC strategy map over the excellence, professionalism, integrity, innovation, commitment, and socio-ecological responsibility. So we call it the epics that we follow. So what are the major programs of the DAPCC? So as I mentioned earlier, under the 8 paradigms, you also put major outputs. And these outputs are the produce of at least 300,000 doses of frozen semen around the Philippines for the artificial insemination program. Produce at least 25,000 calves using AI and natural mating for bulls. So in support to the artificial insemination program, we are also releasing bull loans to our farmer partners, especially those areas that are uh, hardly visited by our AI technicians. So we also entrusted at least 400 dairy buffaloes already and trained 240 new AI technicians to add to the existing 1,000. We also engage at least 200 new carapreneurs. If you say carapreneurs, these are people that are not necessarily uh, into the farming themselves, but they can be middlemen, or they can be processors, or they can be retailers. So we also have the extended production support, 250,000 Carabao industry value players. For the Carabao-based enterprises, we have the major outputs of sustained technical and management support to 205 organized groups. These 205 organized groups may be more than this number already because of some new interventions that we have. Then expanded the number of milk outlets from 30 to 40 outlets. And I think it's also more than this number already. And thank you for the support, of course, of our Senator Cynthia Villar for, uh, giving her support to the dairy industry, and then produced 4.3 million liters of milk in 2020. And then we have the participated in milk feeding program about 376,042 beneficiaries in 2020. So for the research and development, we have the technologies developed about 35. These technologies is actually into the nutrition improvement for water buffalo, prevention and control of diseases. We also have the genetic improvement researches, and then we also have product development. So number of technologies commercialized, we already have 5 of them. Number of new researches is 25. Ongoing researches is around 38, and completed research is about 20. So all of these researches, uh, if completed and you know validated, this will be the tools that our partners will be used to enhance more their productivity. Then capability building of farmers and other stakeholders. We don't want to uh, go into a dole out program only. So in the past, probably uh, some of the government's program a few years back probably would be like a dole out program. So you'll just be giving support to the farmers. But in the Philippine Carabao Center, while we are giving water buffaloes to the farmers, or even some facilities or equipments, we want them to appreciate that, and to own that particular project. So in short-term trainings and seminars on buffalo production and management, we are doing that so that they can sustain the livelihood that the government is providing to them. So around 1,193 sessions already, and 27,958 participants from across the country. I forgot to mention to you that the Philippine Carabao Center has 12 centers nationwide. Uh, and I think 9 or 7 of these centers are hosted by the university. So in Luzon, we have 4. The Philippine Carabao Center in Mariano Marcos State University in Batac, Ilocos Norte. We have also in the Philippine Carabao Center at Cagayan State University in Tuguegarao. And then another one is the Philippine Carabao Center at Don Mariano Marcos State University, Memorial State University in Bacnotan, La Union. And we have 2 in southern, in another 2 in Central Luzon, 1 in Central Luzon, I should say, which is the Philippine Carabao Center at Central Luzon State University. Of course, the Philippine Carabao Center national headquarters is just a fence away from the CLSU regional office. And then we have one in southern Luzon, which is the Philippine Carabao Center at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. So in the Visayas, we have also 4. One in PCC at West Visayas State University. Another is in PCC at Visayas State University in Baybay, Leyte. And one in a stock farm in La Carlota, uh, that is in Negros. And another in stock farm in Ubay, which is in Ubay, Bohol. Then before, we have 4 also in Mindanao, but the PCC at Mindanao State University had been absorbed by the Philippine Carabao Center at Central Mindanao University in Bukidnon. And then we have also in University of Southern Mindanao in Cotabato. and another one in PCC at uh, Mindanao Livestock Production Center in Zamboanga del Norte. Okay, so going back to the major outputs under the capability building of farmers and other stakeholders, we have the season-long 34-week duration Farmer Livestock School on dairy buffalo production, or what we call the FLS DBP. So we already have 8 batches finished, and these 8 batches composed of 198 farmers. So we have the 2-week FLS DBP facilitators learning workshop, wherein we call this training of trainers. So there is already 3 batches and 69 facilitators. These 69 facilitators are the one uh, we extend to our farmer cooperator partners nationwide to do the FLS DBP. And then we also have the School on the Air partnership with the Department of Agriculture Agricultural Training Institute. So we have around the 500 Carabao keepers in South Cotabato that have been benefited to this particular project or program. So the priority areas is to continue the implementation of projects through the initiative of the Office of the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Food, Senator Cynthia A. Villar. She actually sponsored two and pushed two projects. The what we call the Carabao base, uh, the CBIN, the Carabao Base Innovation Network or Improvement Network, I should say, and the Coconut Carabao Development Project, or the CCDP, which is funded by the PCA, but of course still pushed by the Office of the Senator Cynthia Villar. Then we have the implement dairy maps for 20 to 2025. As I mentioned you earlier, in one of the slides that I presented. Massive herd build-up through local upgrading, established two dairy businesses hubs in the Nueva and Cebu, Bohol area, increased Carabao sector contribution currently at 35% to local milk production towards achieving 100% self-sufficiency in RTD by 2025. Then implement RA 11037, a school-based milk feeding program with DepEd and DSWD, which is a law. And this is a sure market for our dairy farmer partners, which is also pushed by the Office of Senator Cynthia A. Villar. And then implement PL 480 dairy project worth 512 million. This will be implemented probably by 2022, next year. And then engage more private entrepreneurs in mainstreaming and commercializing Carabao-based products. So this is the Senator Villar's locally sponsored projects. I want to highlight this because in Mindanao, some of these projects are also being cascaded. And the program components is the production and consolidation. We entrust of dairy buffaloes, provisions of support services, and provision of vehicles for milk collection. So this is worth 3.67 million. And then we have the processing, which is around 2 million, establishment of processing facilities, and provision of processing equipments and supplies. And for the marketing, about 2.55 million, establishment of marketing outlets, conduct of market development services and trainings, and capacity building and technical support services, which is around 1.78 million. Provision of trainings and technical support. Excuse me. So this map tells us the CBIN, or the Carabao Base Improvement Network, and the CCDP coverage, which is the Coconut Carabao Development Program. And I have mentioned in my previous slide, we already have around 50 provinces covered. 14 project sites in Mindanao have been identified for the implementation of CBIN and CCDP. So I am actually highlighting Mindanao because you are in Mindanao, especially the Xavier University, and probably you would also extend your arms with our farmer partners there, especially by the College of Agriculture. So 14 project sites in Mindanao have been identified for the implementation of CBN and CCDP. And currently, the projects are being implemented in 9 provinces in Mindanao. So two processing and marketing outlets have been engaged in Zamboanga del Norte and Zamboanga del Sur. So dairy processing and marketing outlets will be constructed in the provinces of Misamis Oriental, Davao Oriental, Davao de Oro, Davao del Sur, North Cotabato, and South Cotabato as part of the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act. So as of February 15, 2021, 178 dairy buffaloes have been entrusted to our cooperative partners across Mindanao. This is the number of dairy buffaloes that had been entrusted. But because we are in the government and we need to pass through the process of bidding, bidding uh, because of the procurement law, some of our procurements failed due to the unavailability of uh, bidders for this particular project, and also affected by the current pandemic that we have. But we are optimistic that we can, of course, complete the entrustment of water buffaloes to our farmer cooperators. So for the implement milk feeding program, participate in milk feeding program with DepEd about 376,042 beneficiaries in 2020, and participate in the milk feeding program with DSWD. As I have mentioned earlier, this is a sure market for our farmers in the field. I think that's all, and thank you very much. I am very willing to answer some inquiries or questions from you. Good afternoon.
So now let's go to some of the questions that are asked by our viewers. So first question. So Doc, in here in Northern Mindanao, we are not Carabao milk drinkers. So we are not used to having Carabao milk. So how do you promote Carabao milk as an alternative to cow's milk?
Okay, how will I promote? Actually, Carabao's milk is, considered as for processing because cow's milk are more watery and they are considered as ready to drink milk. So in water buffalo, it has a high protein and high fat. So they are more into like cheese making, um, particularly cottage cheese or the mozzarella cheese. If you happen to visit Italy, most of their mozzarella cheese came from water buffalo because they can only get a few fats or proteins from solids from cow's milk. So pastillas making is also one, which is very famous in the Philippines, and you can't get that much of milk solids from cow's milk. What we do in the Philippine Carabao Center to augment, of course, the supply of milk for the milk feeding is we need to toned the water buffalo milk so that it could be in equal uh, quality. I mean, we need to lessen the fats and the protein content so it can be equally compared to cow's milk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. So that's actually personally I did not know about the difference of cattle or cows milk and carabau's milk. So that's actually good to know. And of course, now Doc, let's move to the second question. This is actually a bit related to our first question. So again, here in Northern Mindanao, actually, Carabao is only considered for as a draft animal. So somebody is asking, how do you encourage farmers, especially small farmers, to also consider carabao as a milking animal and not just for draft animal?
Yeah, okay. So, one of the strategies that the Philippine Carabao Center is using is to show a champion farmer to those farmers that you want to venture. Setting an example is already a good strategy. If you will be using your water buffalo for drop only, although it's a noble use. Uh, Aside from that, you can upgrade your water buffalo actually, and to earn more money, of course. So if a particular farmer can testify or give an example that he earns money in dairying using their water buffaloes, you don't need to uh, you know you don't need to say anything more to encourage those farmers to venture to dairying using water buffalo. Thank you.
Yes. So, in other words, to see is to believe talaga. Yeah, so our farmers are actually, I think I agree with you, Doc, that our farmers really, if they see someone, so they have, or a fellow farmer that is doing something and being successful at that, for example, having water buffalo for not only as a draft animal, but also as a milk producing animal. So I think they will also like to imitate that or to follow that example. So thank you so much for that, Doc. Moving on, we have our third question. So somebody is asking, can PCC assist an individual farmer entrepreneur to avail one of your programs like the enterprise development?
Yes, of course we can. If you are somewhere in Mindanao, where in one of the centers, PC center near from you, I mean, it can be, it can extend the things that we are usually extend to farmers. Uh, One is a technical seminars or technical capability building, and one is, if you want to make some, what you call this, a feasibility study to know uh, if your business can acquire more profits or can be feasible. We can also help you on that. So everything that you want help from PCC would be extended to you. Just inform us. Just tell us what you want.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Yes, thank you so much, Doc. And I think here in Mindanao, especially in northern Mindanao, the closest PCC center I think is at Central Mindanao University. And also the other centers, you can search it in the internet. So all those information are readily available at the website of PCC or
Actually, the Philippine Carabao Center has also some. I think we have Facebook page, so you can ask us from there, so we can connect you to the nearest centers wherever you are in the Philippines.
yes,
Thank you.
that's good. So the name of the Facebook page, Doc, is Philippine Carabao Center.
Yes, yes. Department of Agriculture, Philippine Carabao Center.
Yes. So to our viewers, please check that out, like the and follow their page so that you will be updated and you could also communicate with them through their Facebook page. So now, moving on to our next question. So somebody is asking, what are the advantages and disadvantages of carabao meat and milk production compared to that of cattle meat and milk production?
I think there is no disadvantage at all because Carabao's meat or beef from Carabao is a what you call this alternative to beef. It's just that in the past, we have a wrong impression that if it's a Carabao, it's tough. It is because of the old practice that we have. During the time of President Marcos, they issued a kind of slaughter ban wherein you cannot slaughter the carabao that is under 7 years old if it's male. And if the carabao is female, you cannot slaughter it under 11 years old. So thinking of that, 7 years old and 11 years old, it's very tough already because, if you are into meat processing, uh, maybe around 2 or 3 years would be the best, time to slaughter. So it gave us a wrong impression during that time that Carabao's milk is tough and, probably the smell is also another one because it's already old. So, uh, but there is a study even in abroad that Carabao is healthier than cattle because it's more lean and it's very low in cholesterol. So I don't have any disadvantage that can say, but more advantage over the beef from cattle. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Doc. This actually, yes, that's a very common misconception, especially here. That carabao meat is it's tough and the smell is stronger than that of cattle. So, thank you for clearing that up, Doc. And just an additional question in regards to that. How about the price, Doc? Is there a difference regarding the price of carabao meat or carabao milk to that of cattle, which is more affordable or something like that?
I think there's no difference at all because sometimes even in the market, if it's a Carabao, if it's from Carabao, they even dishonestly say it's a cattle. So you cannot say it's cheaper or it's more expensive, but there's no difference actually.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for that. So to our viewers, of course, please let's not encourage those misconceptions. Let us try and explore, try to eat carabao milk. So carabao meat, I mean, and because as what Doc said, it's healthier, it has lower cholesterol. So I think it's better also for all of us. So now let's move to our next question. So when it comes or okay. So for this question, Doc, they're asking, so where so in the PCC's target of promoting Carabao a source of milk, where do we stand right now? Where do we stand with our promotion of Carabao milk?
Yeah, actually, promotion of Carabao's milk is not really, uh, I think that we consider a problem because you know the Philippines is only around 1 to 2% uh, sufficient, self-sufficient in milk. So the other percentage, probably around 98 to 99%, is imported. So there's a lot of, if you will look at it, there's a lot of market opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities with regards to producing more milk. So the only thing is that we have a very low base of animals that produce the milk. So this is where we come in to produce more animals to produce milk. Not the milk itself, but the animal base that we have now right now. So specifically of also is to inform you that we have an agency, the National Dairy Authority, that is really mandated to look into the dairying or the dairy sufficiency of the Philippines. The Philippine Carabao Center is just a strong ally. It's just a strong partner with regards to dairying. We don't have the mandate in developing, further the dairy industry, etc., etc. But we are uh, closely coordinated or closely coordinating with the National Dairy Authority, so that we also, somehow uh, make uh, you know how would I say that, would have the legal personality to really go into the dairy production also. So as you noticed in the mandate of the Philippine Carabao Center, we are only to promote, to propagate water buffalo for milk, meat, uh, hide, and draft. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. So now, this is our last question. So, Doc, how can academic institutions like Xavier University, for example, contribute in the achievement of the goals of PCC?
Can I have it again, please?
Sir, sorry. So, Doc, they're asking how can academic institutions like, of course, Xavier University or other universities, uh, contribute to the achievement of the goals of PCC?
There's a lot of things that you can contribute, especially the SUCs. Actually, that's why the Philippine Carabao Center, majority of the centers are hosted by the university, because they are the one that can provide manpower in terms of research. They can provide manpower in terms of extension. Universities has what you call triad of how would I say, triad of uh, anyway, it's the instruction, it's the research, and it's the extension. And all of these are needed to extend the things that the Philippine Carabao Center uh, wants for the farmer rural farming communities. So, for example, the one of the center, especially for example in the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, uh, the professors help the people in the center to do more uh, technology innovations in terms of uh, producing quality breeds to produce more milk, to use the nutrition of forages, for example, to increase the production of milk. And then we also do some product development, like for example, uh, doing research to make the life storage of milk longer. So there's a lot of things that the university can help for the Philippine Carabao Center.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. So now, for the last part of our program, this is not a question but more of a request. So, Doc, we ask for a closing message for our viewers who are watching. So we have viewers that are students. We also have faculty members and staff as well from the different universities, and we also have from different government agencies. So can you give them a closing message or an inspirational message to close this program?
Okay, thank you again for inviting me and giving you some insights about the Philippine Carabao Center. Uh, of course, we are into the agriculture sector, and in agriculture, we provide food security. So it's the main outcome of whatever we do, whatever outputs we have. The outcome should have a food security. So the Philippine Carabao Center, especially the water buffaloes or a Carabao, are just one of the option to these sources. We can use them as a tool to augment uh, the livelihood of our rural farming communities. We can use these commodities like milk, meat, hide, or draft as a tool to, you know, uplift their livelihood to whatever they have now. We have a lot of, we have a lot of champions in the field. So help us to extend more our technologies to them, especially the SUCs, and let us have a secure Philippines, especially now that we are, having some problems with regards to agriculture, like pest in crops and pest diseases in livestock, particularly in pigs, the ASF. So uh, Carabao is an alternative meat, and it could augment also the our needs in the milk to have increase our self-sufficiency. Thank you.